Hey guys, what is going on? It is Ando, and today's video is really important. It's a hot topic that I've seen on Discords all around. So we're going to be talking about the Krayt raid and how much effort you should be putting into it, get some numbers behind there, and then maybe talk a little bit of the intuition part of this thing. So before we get started, guys, if you guys could hit that subscribe button, be a part of the community, that would help me out tremendously. Throw in a like button, give a comment on what you guys' thoughts are on this as well. And double check me too, it's late at night and obviously, just doing some beer math here. But I've seen a lot of takes on Discord about, well, now that they've announced the new, raid, we shouldn't even care about this old one, or whatever the case is. And it's hard to always just say like always yes or always no. There's different scenarios, different cases for everyone. So I'm going to attempt to at least put some data behind it, and then you guys can make an informed decision. And that's really the end of it. That's a lot of what this channel tries to do. We just try to help each other out. So here's my best attempt at what's going on. So let me explain what's happening here first. We'll go into the data, and then again, we'll kind of end with, some of the intuition or whatever you want to call it, decision making, whatever you have to call it. So right now I wrote down what the Krayt rewards, right? I have it broken down by the currency, so Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, and then the Krayt here, your 10 million Krayt 17, right, all the way up to 416. I didn't even bother to put in the last Krayt because there's only like one or two guilds that can do it, and if those one or two guilds are watching this, they probably don't really need that one anyways, or need to know that that's what they're missing out on. So for the most part, we're just really focused on these Krayts because that's where I'd say 98% of the game is. So this is just what you're given, right? Just the raw numbers of each currency per Krayt. So then what I created was a table that was very similar to that, which is what are the differences from that. So basically going from 0 to 10, obviously, you get just the entirety of 10. Now, if you go into 10 to 17, what I did was I basically just subtracted, the previous box, so 10 from whatever we're going to receive on the 17 Krayt. So, you get 2,000 more of going from 10 to 17 mil Krayt, you get 2,000 more of the Mark 1, 1,450 of the Mark 2, and 250 of the Mark 3. Okay, so then that begs the question of, and it kind of keeps going. So now that we kind of know what are the differences, what were rewarded, what the questions that we kind of need to be asking ourselves is, what is the timeline on all this stuff? And we don't really have a great sense of what exactly that timeline is. They said that the team is aiming for fall / the end of year. Now, in most cases, fall means anywhere from September to November. But the fact that they also just said end of year, I'm just kind of going on the long end of that, right? So what I basically said, I'm going to just assume that means November. And right today, as the day of this recording, this July 7th, and I just said, hey, let's just cut it clean and say November 7th, the raid hits. That is 18 weeks away from today. And then a raid typically in guilds is going to be ran 2 times a week. So that's 36 raids from now until the time that Krayt is no longer with us. So then there's sort of a cost that's going to happen, right, when we think about that. And so all this is essentially we're taking the difference that we would have gotten from our Krayt and we're just multiplying it by however many raids we run. And that's how we can find this difference, right? So if you were at a 0, if your jump is going from 0 to 10 with 36 raids, you will end up with 225,000 225,000 Mark 1 currencies that you wouldn't have had beforehand, right? So again, it's taking the difference that we got and then just subtracting it or multiplying it by however many raids we've got. Again, same thing, right? We're taking the amount of Mark 2 currency that we're gaining by getting said box, and we're multiplying by however many raids we can run. So you can see here, you know, eventually, right, we get kind of cut off, and that's reflective of, you know, how the rewards stack. And at the end of the day, you can really see, like, over time how important this is. So there is a cost that's coming if we just decide to, hey, we're not going to push for the next crate, or the next reward box, or whatever you want to call it. So just as some examples, right, of like, what are we giving up? I decided that, you know, like that would be kind of a cool little thing. So for the Mark 1s, you know, the biggest ones, you know, is, you know, the 10 to 17. You know, if you're a guild that's getting 10 million right now, and you're thinking about maybe pushing your guild into the slot of, hey, let's go get the, you know, the 17 mil crate. So Carbontes at a raw price of Mark 1 is about 27.50, and you get 125 of those units, or the Carbontes. So from the 10 to 17, what I ended up doing is referencing, hey, how much are we getting extra? And then I was dividing it by the cost of, you know, what a Carbonte bundle costs there. You could see that you could basically buy this 26 times with some currency left over. It's going to total, though, over that course of time, 3,272 Carbontes, right? And of course, you know, not everyone's going to buy 272 Carbontes, but the fact is kind of remaining the same. It's a lot of gear to give up. And then same thing with the furnaces, right? Or like Mark II, right? That's more like your 17 to 25, those kind of things. As you can see after that, you know, it kind of zeroes out. But if you're a guild, you know, getting 17 right now, and you want to maybe push to 25 million, basically, you know, for 335 of the Mark II currency, you can get 5 of those, you know, G12 furnaces, and that is going to give you close to 70, you know, purchases, I guess, which is going to total 350 of those furnaces that you're going to give up. And then I decided to do some other stuff because, you know, there's different prices for different gears. So those Nubian scanners, they're often needed as well. They're $475, so a little bit more expensive than the furnaces for 5 of them. And so you could purchase that almost 50 times, which is going to give you, you know, 240 plus Nubian scanners. Again, just over that time, just the difference between if your guild tomorrow could go from 17 to 25. And then Mark III is the biggest one, right? So I did a few different ones because, you know, I think most guilds right now are probably looking more into, hey, we're 130, we could go into the 265. And I think that's probably, like I said, a big bulk of guilds that are right there on the cusp of getting to 265, because I think there's only like 30 some odd guilds right now that are hitting 265. And I just said for arrows, right? Because that is the, you know, the new kind of way of like Crankcore, right? Of getting those Relic 8 materials. So for 600 currency, you can get 3 of them. You know, over that total of, you know, getting the 32,000 more of those currencies, right? Divided by the 600, you can get 54. You could purchase it 54 times, which is a total of 162 of those. And then for Impulse, you know, if you were a guild that was potentially hitting 265 and, you know, you're getting close to 416, you're wondering if you should push, you know, Impulses are $795, so pretty expensive for 3 of them. And then you could purchase that 42 or 45 times and get about 135 Impulses. You know, and it takes 20 of those to make an R8. So quite a few R8s that could be purchased through that, right? Like if you just had everything else, and again, it's not probably an accurate statement to say that, but if you had everything else, you could make, you know, I guess, what is that? Close to 7 R8s, right? So you could pretty much pay for your squad plus some if you're going to do an entire squad. Again, if you have everything. I know that's probably not a realistic expectation. Now, the other thing is too, it's probably not realistic that, excuse me, it's not realistic that you guys can probably get this tomorrow or, you know, whatever. So, you know, if you had like a guild goal that said like, hey, you know, I'll give everyone four weeks. So now it's 14 weeks, right? I have this kind of set up to where it's gonna kind of alter it a little bit, right? So instead of the 3,272 carbontes, right, we've now got the 2,500, and instead of the the amount of impulses, I forgot how much we had, 150 something or whatever, we now have 105. So obviously, again, it's going to be different for every guild, depending on how close or far away you are. But I just wanted to point that out. Like, this raid does reward you for the time and effort that you put in. Oftentimes you will receive back your initial purchase. So that's the data behind it. So the question now should still be remaining of, well, what do I do? And I've seen this a lot before. Like I said, I've been streaming. People are asking me, should I still go for Hut Cartel? And it's hard to answer every single instance. Here's kind of like a basic thought, of at least in my head. If Hut Cartel is the ones that are going to get you there, it's going to increase your personal raid rewards, I would say go ahead and invest in them. They're a good squad. They're going to be a good squad post Krayt raid. They're just not going to have raid viability, quote unquote. Now, if you're probably looking at like some of your more niche squads like Tuscans, right, and you're currently sitting at relic 3, like I am, and they don't really gain a ton of damage until they're relic 7 pretty much, then that's one that I would probably maybe wait on, or maybe not even wait on, just never do, because it just seems like that might not be worth it. The other aspect of this is, again, remember, you're a guild and you need 49 other people to buy into this. Now, maybe you've already got 40 people that have bought into this and they're all hitting 5.4 million GP, or 5.4 million points, and you're one of the 10 guys that are sitting there at 4.4 and you really just need that extra 1 million. I think you should feel safe knowing that just boosting a squad or two to get the extra damage is going to be worth it, right? It's going to pay off. Not only for you, and then this is the big thing that I want to emphasize. These numbers, they only represent you. Imagine that 49 other people are going to get these kind of rewards for the next few months until Krayt raid is gone. It's a lot of growth that a guild can do. Like I said, these are individual numbers, and this is not even counting, your personal rewards and all that, the personal track and stuff like that. So there's a lot of growth that's going to happen in between now and the release of the raid. Understand that, yes, we are going to be gearing up, the rebel faction or whatever that they probably rename the Leia faction into. But for the most part, guys, like, this is going to be one of those things where 49 other people will benefit off of something that you're going to do. Again, though, it takes a guild to kind of accomplish some of these, bigger feats. So if your guild is, they just crossed the 90 mil threshold, it's maybe not super realistic unless like you guys are really close to some Jabba unlocks or something like that. Again, if you're sitting there at like 150 mil on your crates, it probably isn't going to work out in your favor to go for 265. But if you are, one of those guilds that are at 230, 240, I would even say that if you're like at 210 and you know that you can get people on board, and within the next month you just focus all on, Hut Cartel or whatever faction they need to focus on, just to make everyone increase their points by, 1 million, would get you there pretty much for some of those scores. That seems like, again, one of those things where 50 people benefit from that. And so, and it benefits in a big way. You're going to get a lot of your materials that you're going to need for your GL Leia farms and stuff like that. So obviously side projects are going to come up. Obviously all these things happen. But again, I feel like, with a month of these rewards, you can really kind of shape your roster in order to kind of get to where you guys need to go. Anyways, that's just my kind of, if I were trying to make decisions for, my guild, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. It's not just even about the individual person, but it's about the 49 other people that are inside this guild that are also trying to push for the, you know, the next raid requirement or whatever the case is. And so in my head, like, that's just how it makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to put this data out there. I wanted to kind of show you guys that there is a cost that's going to happen if you guys just decide, hey, status quo is just fine. Again, though, for some guilds or for a lot of guilds, status quo is going to be just fine. You're just not going to get to the point, you know, you're not going to get to that next Krayt before, you know, this doesn't make any sense, right? Like these weeks start to kind of go against you. You're not going to return that investment. And so, yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think. Share it with your guilds. Obviously, definitely want to have some visibility on this, some insight. Like I said, double check my math if you guys want to. It's late here, so on a Friday night, so the brain's kind of fried, but pretty sure it's good. And anyways, thanks so much, guys, for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.